price so that you can understand what is actually going on in the market, when we can expect volatility, when we can expect volume. It's probably one of the most key things as well, other than your technical analysis, your risk management, but actually understanding what is going around the world to basically identify how your trade is going to go or what you can expect in the market on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's a free tool that you can utilize. It is called forexfactory.com. So you're going to search it up. You don't have to sign up or anything like that. You can simply come to it. Now, what this site is utilized for is to give you an idea of what is going on around the world and what type of news is going to be coming out. Because, I mean, there's always news coming out daily, but it's the main scheduled impact news, right? So you can easily identify what is minor news, medium news, and major impact news, right? So the way that you identify this is simply by looking at the folders that we get here. So you can see this is obviously from March 11th, 2026. As you can see, it's this date. So obviously today is Wednesday. Coming to Wednesday, now we can check, okay, cool. We had news at 1:50 a.m. in the morning. This is the actual forecast and previous. But before we get into that, we can see yellow folders are low impact news. So it's not going to do massive things to the market. It's going to have a little bit of an effect, but it's not going to change it and move like NFP, CPI, and PPI. And those are also big news events that we're going to go into, for example, like today, right? But a great thing is what you can do is if you want to read up on it, you just click details here, and it opens up quite a bit of a explanation. Brief, short. You can obviously go deeper into it by going to related stories, and then go full details for GNPPI, for obviously JPY, PPI. You can click on here. So the measure change in price of goods sold by corporations, right? This specific news event is measuring, right? Then we have the usual effect. Now you must read this. This is probably one of the most important things here. Actual greater than forecast is good for currency, and we'll get into that now. Frequency released monthly about 12 days after the month ends. Okay, so when month ends, 12 days after that, we can expect this specific news event. Why traders care, another important thing. So we've got the next release date. Obviously, we can take into account for that. It's a leading indicator of a consumer's inflation. When corporations rise the price of their goods, the higher costs are usually passed on to the consumer. So that's important to understand. If you don't, throw it in ChatGPT. It's pretty basic and straightforward. And I'd say not everyone understands it, but yeah, throw it in ChatGPT, say explain to me so you can get a better understanding, as it's very important. Also called the CGPI, right? Accra Expand Producers Price Index, PPI Corporation Good Price Index. That's basically what PPI means, Producer Price Index. Now, if we come to the right here, we can see history. So obviously, February the 12th, 12 days after the new month starts, we had the actual came out to 2.3%. The forecast was 2.3%, and the previous was 2.4%. Now, coming back to this, actual greater than the forecast is good for currency. So in terms of this, there was not much movement. It's not good. It's not bad. It's the exact same. Whereas now, what we saw this morning, we can see that, remember, actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. Whereas we actually today got the actual price of 2.0%, and the forecast was 2.2%, right? And the previous, obviously, which was the history here. So this is bad for the country. As you can see, it's marked out red. Now, the reason why I'm explaining this is so that you go into bigger major news events, for example, like unemployment claims, CPI, NFP, PPI. These are all very important things. So we can clearly see that here, due to daylight saving shift now in March, it happened on the 9th of March, US switched their daylight savings to 2:30 p.m. The news core PPI, if you don't know what it is, right, you're going to take a look here, right? Change in price of goods and services purchased by consumers, excluding food and energy. Actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So now what we need to see on the 13th of Feb, actual percentage other than forecast percentage was 0.3%. So there was not much change in this, but it was better than previous. So that is still good, right? Because previous was down 0.2%. So of course we want price to be better if you're hoping that the dollar is going to go up. We want the actual price to be better than forecast, but it is still good because it's better than the previous. Okay. So now what we can do and expect today. So forecast today is 0.2%. So coming into the markets, I'm going to take a technical analysis and then have a rough idea of what price is going to do. So obviously previous was 0.3, the forecast is to be less. So if we get 0.3% still based on previous, it's going to be good. But what is currently be going on in the country and around the world? Well, we have US and Iran war that's currently going on. Just an example. Obviously, this video you might be watching at a later stage. But based on that, I can assume, okay, cool. Currently, the dollar is rising due to inflation. It's going up. It's increasing interest rates, which is not great for the consumer. And with high interest rates, purchasing power becomes less. Less people want to spend money due to everything becoming so expensive. So we can expect that, yes, the news should come out worse as the dollar is going up. Things are becoming more expensive to purchase. So I can expect now, and obviously we can look back at, I can expect now and we can look back at a later stage. And maybe you should come to this date of Wednesday, March 11th, when you're watching this video, and see what the forecast and the actually came out. I can expect 0.2%. Or below the forecast mark, so we'll probably get a negative effect on this news that gets released. Although something can change. Maybe the Federal Reserve interest rates drop before this, or their data that's released is not as bad. So there's always two outcomes to it, but we've got to take into account what information we're gathering from Forex Factory and how we can prepare ourselves based on our technical analysis and the trades that we're going to be developing. Something that's also important to understand is that this does not just play out and affect today. It affects the market for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month. This specific news events, these high impact news, of course, there's different news events that's going to come out that can impact a change. But based on this, it's going to definitely affect the markets in a major way. So you need to be more cautious or keep a lookout for your trade ideas that you're developing based on what news actually comes out. For example, if the dollar is rising and the news is really good for the dollar, then buying Euro USD, for example, is not the best idea, right? News is going to come out and let's say dollar is better than what we're even predicting now, then dollar is going to continue to rise and then Euro USD is going to fall. The euro against the dollar is going to fall, of course. So there's no point of buying it if we're expecting the news to get better. Where in this case, I can expect Euro USD to buy because I'm expecting the dollar to fall based on what's been going on around the world. So Forex Factory is just a summary point of view and the monthly releases of news and data that we'll get out, but it's not taking into account the US versus Iran war. That just happened recently, that came out of the blue. It's not on Forex Factory. So when you look at macroeconomics, and we go deeper into this in our program, when you look at macroeconomics, it's so important that you have a deeper understanding than just looking at Forex Factory and taking a little bit of, couple percent moves and taking a look at it and see, okay, this is how I'm going to choose my whole trade idea. No, technical analysis is good. Macroeconomics are very important. Economics is the most important thing because it affects the market in a major way, right? This includes US 30, gold, NASDAQ, Forex pairs. It doesn't matter. It's going to affect everything, okay? And you can even see here on related stories, you can click on this. You can open up the site. Economic expects February consumer price index report to show rising consumer prices and inflation stuck while the Fed targets 2%. The year kicked off with a softer than expected inflation in January, thanks to early dips in the durable goods and energy prices. Obviously, everything started to dip due to the dollar rising. So that's important to understand. Okay, so coming back to it, all you need to do is you need to go to calendar year and every date, even going much further, as you can see, I can literally look and keep on clicking up until next month to understand what I can expect in the markets, right? And you can also go back and check what was going on in the market at that time too. So Forex Factory is important. Make sure you're utilizing it on a day-to-day basis so that you can identify the trade ideas that you're going to be taking, and it's going to help you a lot in your technical analysis and your pre-market and you basically predicting the future, essentially. Hope you guys learned something. Next video we're going to be getting into is very important as well. So